Let sleeping dogs lie. We've all heard that term at some point in our lives, but what does that really mean? And in the context of a video game, in this case, sleeping dogs, how does that translate? In today's video, I'm here to tell you. Let's get to it. So in terms of the story, you play as an individual named Wei who lived in the United States for several years. He was born and raised in Hong Kong, lived in the United States, came back to Hong Kong. The thing is, when he's in Hong Kong, he's reconnected with some old neighborhood buddies of his who've now become local gang members. But Wei has an interest in becoming a police officer and helping take down the organization that's kind of corrupted the neighborhood in which he was brought up. So what you have here, have you ever seen the movie Departed, where you have Leonardo DiCaprio, who basically is an undercover cop who goes back to his local neighborhood, joins the local gang, ends up working for a mob boss? You got the same thing kind of happening here in this game with Wei, except on a much larger scale. So throughout the game, Wei is trying to raise his profile with the local gang. There's a rival group called the 18K. You're a member of the Sun Yan Wei. And basically what you're trying to do is rise up through the ranks, ultimately gain the trust of leadership, and then turn around and use that information with your police force connections to ultimately bring down the heads of the gangs, both the Sun Yan Wei and the 18K. Now, what's interesting about this is Wei is very much involved with and connected to his friends that are now gang members. And you see this happening a lot throughout the course of the game, in that it seems like Wei's connection to the gang life is stronger than maybe it should be for being an undercover cop. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy things going on. Like, he's extorting people, he's blackmailing people. It starts out initially, he's just beating people to a pulp like Batman. And then midway through and in the later parts of the game, he's actually murdering people. And I've never known an undercover cop to straight up murder people and everything's all hunky-dory. So this game's pretty interesting. It goes through a lot of the different internal politics that go on with the Sun Yan Wei gang. And basically the patriarch at one point needs to be replaced. And there's a leadership grab, a power struggle to see who's going to fill the vacuum of power. And that's where more of the actions become consequential. And the game kind of takes a turn and heads towards, the climax of the action, all that jazz. What's interesting about this game, though, is as you play it, there are equal parts of progressing through as a police officer and doing police quests, and progressing through as a gang affiliate. And it's really interesting how it's not like you can fully level up in one area. It's not like you can become a full-on police officer and completely ignore everything related to the gang, or vice versa. Like, as you progress through missions, they're going to force you back to perform missions for the other side and kind of progress the story that way as well. So really interesting what they did here. And I found it pretty compelling. Like, I was pretty interested throughout to see what would happen. Specifically, it really felt like there was this whole buildup of, is Wei, your main protagonist, is he going to fully embrace the gangster lifestyle and just eschew being a police officer? Or is he truly rooted in the police mission? Like, it becomes very questionable with all the things that he does throughout the game. So that kept me compelled to keep playing. And I really dug where the story went with this. Now, in terms of gameplay, the story takes place in Hong Kong. So there's a lot of going around exploring the various neighborhoods of Hong Kong. Now, as I mentioned, with the criminal missions and the police missions, you'll sometimes have to go to different neighborhoods to do various things. So for police missions, for example, not only are you talking to your superior officers or other informants and reporting back on what's happening inside the gang world, but as you're going through different neighborhoods, you have the ability to hack local city cameras and then go back to your apartment, tap into them through your video surveillance equipment, and then identify people who are responsible for bringing drugs into the city, perform drug busts. There's other side missions to just, disrupt gang activity of that nature. Now, in terms of criminal activity, there's no shortage of this. You can get involved with drug trafficking. You can get involved with street racing. There's a lot of different hand-to-hand fights that are going to occur throughout. Like, again, with these gangs, it's all about respect and power. So a lot of times if someone steps to you the wrong way in the street, you might have to tune them up a little bit. So it's really cool because there's different combat enhancements based on the path level you go, police or gangster. So what I mean by that is if you complete a police mission, you're going to get police XP. So there's a police XP progression panel where it's like, fire your gun more effectively, or, be able to aim while strafing over objects, stuff like that. Or there's like a super punch attack move. Similarly, when you level up as the gangster, there's stuff there like, break a guy's leg with one hit, or knock someone out and phase them with a twirling body slam move or something like that. It's really cool. And then also throughout, there are other little side missions you can partake in. So for example, one of your old senseis that you knew before you went to America and you've since come back, you've reconnected with him. He's teaching you various martial arts tactics, kind of like a kung fu style of fighting. And if you find stolen statues of his, specifically there were 12 different statues he had, each depicting characters of the Chinese New Year, you find them, bring them back to him, and he will teach you a new move, like a superpower move, which is really cool because as you learn more of these moves, it really makes combat so much easier. And you're going to need the combat. Oftentimes you're going to be fighting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dudes at once, kind of like Batman in Arkham City. There's going to be a lot of, not necessarily pairing because you're using your fists, but you got to know when to hit a counter at just the right moment. Now, what's great about this too is there's a lot of environmental attacks. It is so awesome when you either throw someone's head into a toilet and flush it and they're like knocked out, or one of the end missions, I actually threw a guy into like a wood chipper and killed him. All sorts of stuff. Throw a guy into an electric panel and electrocute him. It's very graphic, but at the same time, it's pretty awesome, like seeing it happen and stuff too. So a lot of real cool finishers, if you will. The fight scenes are outstanding. And then also too, your character can shoot guns. There's a lot of that going on where, you're driving in a car and cars are chasing you, have to shoot at people or what have you, or you're in a crowded room trying to get to the end and you got to shoot your way through. So there's a lot of that stuff too. But in terms of gameplay, I mean, it's got a lot of what you would ask for. I mean, it's got beat 'em up styles. It's got first person shooter elements. It's got a really great story to it. I had a good time with it. So in terms of the technical mechanics of it, so like I mentioned, this game takes place in Hong Kong, and I must say the city looks beautiful. I had a really fun time just going around and just seeing what random stuff I could get into. In that respect, it felt a lot like the Yakuza series, if you ever played that. You're going through various parts of Japan. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. And there were a lot of different little things that you could experience, whether it's, there's like health towers. If you pray or meditate at the little health shrine, it gives you increased health bonuses and stuff like that. They have great music on the soundtrack. So specifically when you're driving in a car and you're changing the radio station, there were a lot of great songs I had never heard of before that have since come on my music playlists. I found myself really getting lost in not only they played American music, there's bands like Queen and other stuff on there, but they also had local and native Hong Kong or Chinese artists as well. And I found myself really digging that music. And there's all sorts of other stuff they put in here. Like there's the karaoke experience. You go down to a karaoke bar and you're having to sing. And it was pretty funny what they did with that. So they spent a lot of time specifically on just the graphical detail of everything, from building out the city to also the sound mechanics of, hearing cars honking at you, the character voices that they use and what have you, the music. So all of that was really, really stellar as well. So in terms of replayability to this game, there's not a multiplayer aspect to it. A lot of stuff you could do if you're going for like 100% completion route. So, full disclosure, I just beat the game last night, and having beaten it, I was honestly a little surprised that it was over. Like, I feel like I was expecting more to happen with the game. Like, surely this isn't how it ends. I don't mean that in like a bad way, or it's like, I just felt like I was being built up to something bigger than what happened. And the way it ended, it was kind of just like, oh. So I do still have the option to go back and finish other missions that I may not have completed. So whether it's more police missions, more gangster missions, or even their side missions where you increase your overall face value. And with the face value, it's interesting because you get access to better cars, better clothing, weapons, etc., which that's got a whole other twist to it too. Like if you want to dress like a full-on like pimp with a pimp hat and a feather or something, you got to be a certain face level. I'm just making that up. I don't know if you really can dress like a pimp, but I got a guy looking like Ed Hardy walking around, so whatever. So yeah, I'm done with the game, and I'm compelled to go back and work on some of the things that I might have missed. But the issue is, since I know the story's over and I have so many other games I want to play, am I going to go back and do it? Realistically, no. But I want to. The desire is there. So it does have replayability to it. Like, there's all these street races that I never finished. There's all these face missions that I never completed. There's other little things like Grand Theft Auto had hidden packages. This one has briefcases that you have to find. I unlocked something where they're now marked on the map, so I have to just drive around and find them. Be fun to do that, but am I going to have the time to do that? No, I'm not really chasing achievements here, so there's no real point to do that. So in terms of replayability, it does have a fair amount if you choose to go the 100% completionist route. I think I'm going to sit this one out and wait for the next dance, if you will. But good amount of replayability if you want to really explore and experience everything the game has to offer. Now, in terms of my final thoughts on this game, I really enjoyed exploring the city. I really enjoyed how this game felt like the movie The Departed, just on a little bit more steroids, and told from the perspective of being in Hong Kong, which, if you might recall, the movie The Departed is actually a remake of a Hong Kong film. So, maybe there's something there with that. I'm not really entirely certain. So, the action was great in this game. The fighting is outstanding. The gunplay is great. The one thing that I really kind of got lost on is, like I mentioned, when I got to the end of the game, I didn't really realize it was the end of the game. Like I was expecting more, and the game kind of just plateaued off. And I really felt like they were building up to something bigger than what the finish was. So there's that. The other thing that I really had a gripe with, and this is just me being me, but like, for example, when you're doing crime missions and you have to escape from the police, it's really friggin' hard to get away from the cops. I mean, I would be driving, just going. Whereas if I'm playing like Grand Theft Auto, I would have escaped the cops 10 times over. And here, they're just right on you. It was a little unrealistic in that respect. And even if you destroyed a police car or got away, like more cops would respawn and like be right there after you again. So I didn't like that either. I thought that was kind of stupid. So, I mean, for those reasons, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with it. I do have a strong desire to go back and play it. Funny story, I played it here on Xbox for the achievements, but I also own the game on Steam Deck. And the footage you're going to see, the gameplay footage, will be captured from the Steam Deck because it's just going to look better. But that shows you how I feel about the game, owning it twice, double dipping on it. I am a fan of this game. If you can get past those little qualms that I mentioned, which I think I'm maybe being a little overly critical on it, I think you're going to have a good time with this game, especially if you can get it for a cheap price. If you're going the digital route, I've seen it on sale on Steam for as low as $2.99 or $3 or something like that. If you're going the physical route, you can still get a physical copy at a fair price. But Sleeping Dogs, I thought it was a great game. I had a fun time with it. Kind of like Grand Theft Auto, toned down a little bit, but Grand Theft Auto in Hong Kong. A lot of tie-ins to the movie The Departed without being related to that at all. So I had a good time with it, and I would recommend this game to someone else who's looking for a game similar to that. If you're looking for fist fights, street fights, gunplay, crime elements of, are you truly a good guy or bad guy, and the dichotomy of all that, definitely give this a check. Give this a look, I should say. So as always, everyone, I want to thank you so much for watching this video and all my other videos for that matter. Thanks so much for subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one.